The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. Class 10 Notes. History. Chapter 1. Frédéric Sorel. Frédéric Sorel was a French artist. In 1848, he prepared a series of 4 prints visualizing his dream of a world made up of democratic and social republics. The first print represents the people of Europe and America marching in a long train, offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass through it. A female figure was holding the torch of enlightenment in one hand and the Charter of the Rights of Man in the other. The shattered remains of the symbols of absolutist institutions were lying on the earth in the foreground. Sorel had a utopian vision of a world where people were grouped as distinct nations, identified through their national flags and costumes. The United States and Switzerland led the procession, followed by France and Germany. The people of Austria, the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, Lombardy, Poland, England, Ireland, Hungary and Russia, came after the Germans. Christ, angels, and saints are looking down on the scene from the heavens above. They serve as a symbol of fraternity among the nations of the world. During the 19th century, nationalism evolved as a force which drastically changed Europe's political and mental world. The nation-state ultimately emerged as a result of these changes. French Revolution. In 1789, nationalism emerged with the French Revolution, and the political and constitutional reforms resulted in the transfer of sovereignty from the monarchy to a body of French citizens. Many policies and procedures were implemented, including the concepts of la patrie, the fatherland, and le citoyen, the citizen. The tricolor was chosen as the new French flag. Napoleonic Code. Napoleon ruled France starting from 1799 to 1815. He gained absolute control and power in the year 1799 by becoming the first consul. The features of the Napoleonic Code, a civil code 1804, are as follows. Establishment of equality before the law. Under the Napoleonic Code, the right to property was secured. All birth rights and privileges were abolished. Guild restrictions were lifted. Moreover, Napoleon actually took away the freedom of people by forcing them to join the French army. Also, he imposed censorship, increased taxes, and took away political freedom. New middle class. The new classifications were done based on the work, culture, and group of people. As a result, 3 new classes were formed. The aristocracy. It included people who owned lands, spoke French and were connected by ties of marriage. They were, however, numerically a small group. Peasantry. The majority of the population was made up of this class. Middle class. Since industrialization, a new class came into being known as the working class. It included artisans, industrialists, businessmen and so on. Liberalism. In 1848, a revolution was led by educated middle-class people. Men and women of the liberal middle class demanded the creation of a national state on parliamentary principles and the constitution, which allows freedom of the press and freedom of association. Many political associations came together in Frankfurt and decided to cast their vote for an all-German National Assembly. On the 18th of May 1848, 831 elected representatives arrived in the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul. They drafted a constitution for the German nation to be ruled by a monarchy governed by a parliament. The crown was offered to Frederick William IV, King of Prussia, but he rejected it and joined other monarchs to stand against the elected assembly. The middle classes dominated the parliament, and a large number of women participated in the liberal movement. Women formed their own political associations. Moreover, they founded newspapers and took part in political meetings and demonstrations, but they were still denied suffrage rights during the election of the assembly. As a result, in the years after 1848, the autocratic kings of Central and Eastern Europe started enacting the changes that had previously been made in Western Europe prior to 1815. Thus, serfdom and bonded labor were abolished in both Russia and the Habsburg dominions. A new conservatism after 1815. In 1815, conservatism was the driving force behind the policies of European governments. Conservatives supported the monarchy, the church, social hierarchies, property and the preservation of the family. It was believed that a modern army, an efficient bureaucracy, a dynamic economy, and the abolition and elimination of feudalism and serfdom could strengthen the autocratic monarchies of Europe. Furthermore, in 1815, the representatives of the European powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia and Austria, met in Vienna to draft a settlement for Europe. The Bourbon dynasty was reinstated, and France lost countries it had gained under Napoleon. The freedom of the press was one of the major issues taken up by the liberal nationalists, who criticized the new conservative order. The revolutionaries. Many secret societies were established in European states in 1815 to educate revolutionaries and spread their ideology. The revolutionaries opposed monarchical forms and fought for liberty and freedom. Giuseppe Mazzini, an Italian revolutionary, born in Genoa in 1807, formed two more secret societies. The first was Young Italy in Marseille, and the second was Young Europe in Bern, which included like-minded young men from Germany, Poland, France, and Italy. The Age of Revolution, 1830–1848. Liberal revolutionaries overthrew the Bourbon kings in July 1830 and replaced them with a constitutional monarchy commanded by Louis Philippe. The July Revolution triggered a revolt in Brussels, which resulted in Belgium breaking away from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Greeks fought for their independence in 1821. Making of Germany. Nationalism in Europe began to disassociate itself from democracy in revolution after 1848. Germany and Italy came to be unified as nation-states. Prussia took over the leadership of the movement for national unification. Otto von Bismarck was the architect of this revolutionary process and carried it out with the help of the Prussian army and bureaucracy. In January 1871, the King of Prussia, William I, was crowned German Emperor in a ceremony held at Versailles. The nation-building process demonstrated the dominance of Prussian state power. Modernizing Germany's financial, legal, and judicial systems were a top priority for the new state. Making of Italy. Italy was divided into 7 states in the middle of the 19th century. Out of all the 7 states, Sardinia-Piedmont was ruled by an Italian princely house. All the regions were dominated and ruled by different kings. In 1830, Giuseppe Mazzini formed a secret society referred to as Young Italy. The movement was led by Chief Minister Cavour. In 1859, Sardinia-Piedmont defeated the Austrian forces. In 1860, they marched into South Italy, and the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies and ultimately succeeded in winning the support and help of the local peasants. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was declared the King of United Italy. Britain. Great Britain represented the nation. Prior to the 18th century, there was no British nation. The nation became powerful as it slowly and gradually grew in wealth, importance and power. The Act of Union, 1707, between England and Scotland resulted in the formation and introduction of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. It meant that England was able to impose its influence on Scotland. In 1801, Ireland was forcibly incorporated into the United Kingdom. The symbols of the New Britain, such as the British flag, Union Jack, the national anthem, God Save Our Noble King, and the English language, were actively promoted. Nationalism and imperialism. By the last quarter of the 19th century, nationalism had lost its idealistic liberal democratic sentiment. After 1871, the Balkan region was the main cause of nationalist tension in Europe. The Slavs was the collective name for people who lived in the geographically diverse and ethnically diverse region of the Balkans, which included modern-day Romania, Macedonia, Croatia, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, and Slovenia. The Balkans became a very volatile region due to the growth of Romantic nationalism and the fall of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire attempted to strengthen itself throughout the 19th century by modernization and internal reforms but received very little success. During this period, the European nations engaged in fierce competition over trade, colonies, and naval and military strength. 1914 saw the devastation of Europe brought on by nationalism and imperialism. Anti-imperial movements came into effect, but they struggled to form independent national states. However, the idea of national states was accepted, and everyone agreed on the concept.